I'm still an actress.
Still an actress.
Mama still gotta bring home the bacon.
Welcome to MsMojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 celebs who opened up about life-threatening illnesses.
The answer is within us. For those of us with lupus, it's time to take part in research so personalized treatments can be developed.
For this list, we're looking at famous folks who have publicly spoken about the medical conditions with which they live. What do you make of their comments? Let us know below. Number 10, Nick Jonas.
I took a ship to the year 3000. This song had gone multi-platinum. Everybody bought our 7th album.
As part of the famous Jonas Brothers, this musician became a household name around 2007 with the release of the band's eponymous album. By then, Nick Jonas was already living with type 1 diabetes, a very prevalent autoimmune disease. It can sometimes result in some severe and life-threatening complications, including something called diabetic ketoacidosis. Jonas was diagnosed in November 2005, a few months after his 13th birthday.
It's really a point of feeling like I'm going to collapse the whole time, and I was at this point for, it must have been 2 or 3 weeks, and I was days away from a coma.
He's been an advocate of diabetes support for years and has shared his experiences with it. He's also created and teamed up with various charity organizations, and has even appeared before the United States Senate in a bid to increase the funds that go to diabetes research.
It's been an incredible journey, a lot of ups and downs. And at my young age, I know that a lot of you are saying, oh, well, he's still a child. But I can assure you, that night, I was a child with a dream. And I was not going to let diabetes slow me down.
Number 9, Avril Lavigne. Most people are able to celebrate turning 30. But Avril Lavigne spent much of her birthday lying in bed before ultimately getting diagnosed with Lyme disease.
So stupid. They would pull up their computer and be like, chronic fatigue syndrome. Or, why don't you try to get out of bed, Avril, and just go play the piano? It's like, are you depressed? This is what they do to a lot of people that have Lyme disease.
The condition is manageable when treated, but can otherwise result in serious complications like paralysis and, in rare cases, death. Lavigne has talked about the symptoms she was experiencing, like persistent lethargy.
She's rarely left her home. She said that she's been unable to breathe at times. It's hard for her to stand. She's barely been able to brush her teeth.
She has since done plenty to inform and educate others about the disease. In October of 2020, for instance, she put on a live stream concert called #FightLyme to help raise money for charity.
Are you listening? Set me free.
Number 8, Toni Braxton.
Don't leave me in all this pain. Don't leave me out in the rain.
A very famous R&B singer with an illustrious career, Toni Braxton is a legend of American music. In 2010, she explained that she had been living with lupus. While the prognosis is relatively good with today's technology and medicine, the chronic autoimmune disease is not without complications.
My particular type of lupus, it loves my heart, meaning it affects it often.
Right.
I get pericarditis often, I get viruses of the heart, I get microvascular angina.
And it was once highly fatal, killing its sufferers in just a few years. In fact, Braxton's uncle passed away from issues relating to the condition. The star initially kept her diagnosis private, but eventually informed the public, notably saying that letting everyone know was a, quote, relief. She's since consistently shed light on the realities that come with having lupus, becoming an important voice for others living with the disease.
Even if I can't perform, I still figure it out.
How do you figure it out?
I don't know sometimes. Sometimes I look back like that evening and go, how did I get through that? But friends and family support me, but I just try to put on a smiley face and get through it.
Number 7, Anthony Anderson. The star of ABC's Blackish, Anthony Anderson has been living with type 2 diabetes since 2002.
I went to the doctor and they were like, yeah, you hit the trifecta. You got high cholesterol, you got high blood pressure, and you have type 2 diabetes.
Just like type 1, this condition can prove fatal if left untreated. Anderson has spoken on numerous occasions about his journey with it. When he was 31 years old, he began experiencing severe lethargy and an unquenchable thirst. He was diagnosed shortly after. His stepfather, Sterling Bowman, soon received a diagnosis as well after decades of living with the symptoms, and died as a result of complications from the disease.
We had no idea that he was diabetic. He went undiagnosed for 20 plus years. And, I didn't want to do that to my family.
His passing prompted Anderson to open up about the disease and take charge of his own health.
And our website is getrealaboutdiabetes.com, and you can go there and get the information that you need to learn how to prevent the disease, and if you are diagnosed with it, how to live with it.
Number 6, Selena Gomez. This celebrity is not only a highly successful singer and actress, she's also among the most prominent people with lupus. That's not just because Gomez herself is famous, but also because she's been so open in chronicling her experience with the disease.
As many of you know, I was diagnosed with lupus 8 years ago. I've been a lupus warrior ever since.
Gomez revealed in 2015 that she had lupus, sometime post-diagnosis, and she's been very vocal about her story ever since. She's notably spoken about her chemotherapy treatments and how her close friend and fellow star Francia Raisa gave her the kidney she needed for a transplant.
She volunteered and did it, and let alone somebody wanting to volunteer, it is incredibly difficult to find a match. The fact that she was a match, I mean, that's unbelievable.
By letting fans see what comes with living with such a diagnosis, Gomez has helped educate countless people about lupus.
For this very complicated disease, the answer is just not within reach. The answer lies within each one of us. Now more than ever, we're all in this together.
Number 5, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Well, I was diagnosed in 2008, and I have CML, chronic myeloid leukemia.
One of the most famous basketball players of all time, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar made waves throughout his sporting career with numerous All-Star titles and NBA championships. The renowned athlete retired in 1989. About 20 years later, after he had transitioned to coaching, he told the world he had been diagnosed with a form of leukemia.
I had, night sweats for like 6 or 8 months, and I was like, oh, I'm getting older. You keep, it's just normal.
Brush it aside.
Yeah. And then finally he said, we got to find out about it. And then, that's when I was diagnosed. But it enabled me to find out what I need to do to get well.
He was very vocal about his journey with the disease, having talked about his treatment plan and even partnering with the company that manufactured his treatment. In 2011, Abdul-Jabbar revealed that, quote, "you're never really cancer-free," but that his cancer was, quote, "at an absolute minimum," and was, quote, "not life-threatening at this point in his life."
Very fortunately for me, I've had a lot of support, and by becoming knowledgeable about it, it really helps you overcome the things that you think are going to pull you down.
Number 4, Sarah Hyland. This actress rose to fame in the late 2000s playing Haley Dunphy in the acclaimed sitcom Modern Family. But during her time on the show, she was experiencing severe health issues. Hyland had kidney dysplasia, which is a rare condition where someone is born with a malformed kidney.
Without a donor, she faced a life on dialysis. But in order to get that transplant, Sarah's health would have to get even worse.
In 2012, when Modern Family was in the midst of airing its 3rd season, Hyland underwent a kidney transplant with the help of her dad. The organ was eventually rejected, and Hyland got another transplant as a result. This kidney was provided by her brother.
Someone who you're supposed to look after, like a little brother, wants to give you a 3rd chance at life. It's scary because you don't want to feel them.
Hyland has been very transparent when it comes to her disease, having explained its effects on her mental health and sharing the details of her numerous surgeries.
Still mentally, it's hard to get over that. But I think personally, for someone being so tiny, to have a stomach that looks like the New Jersey Turnpike just shows who I am and what kind of character I have.
Number 3, Selma Blair. Notably known for her work in Legally Blonde and Hellboy, Selma Blair has multiple sclerosis.
I have spasmodic dysphonia right now. It is interesting to put it out there, to be here to say this is what my particular case looks like right now, and it could be very different in a year.
While MS isn't usually deadly in and of itself, it can cause fatal complications, and life expectancy in those with it is typically reduced. Blair announced the news in October 2018 via Instagram, stating that she had gotten a diagnosis just a few months earlier. She explained that she had been experiencing symptoms for almost 20 years, but was never taken seriously by doctors.
Single mother, you're exhausted, financial burden, blah, 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 hormonal, premenopausal, postmenopausal. No one said, maybe you should get an MRI. Maybe we should just check it out.
These include problems like poor memory, numbness, and impaired motor function. Blair was finally diagnosed with MS after falling in front of her doctor, and she was quick to not only share the news, but tell the world what it meant.
Even my neurologist said, no, this will bring a lot of awareness because no one has the energy to talk when they're in a flare-up. But I do, because I love a camera.
Number 2, Emilia Clarke.
Valar Morghulis. Yes, all men must die. But we are not men.
On March 21st, 2019, The New Yorker published a very personal article written by Emilia Clarke herself. Titled A Battle for My Life, the piece detailed her experiences with multiple brain aneurysms. The first occurred when Clarke was exercising. She felt an incredible pain in her head and proceeded to vomit.
I kept asking myself all these questions. I hilariously kept saying lines from the show in my head. Because I knew, for some reason, I must have watched it on Tomorrow's World at some point in my life, that if you're throwing up and you have a headache, then that's not good for your brain.
After she was rushed to the hospital, she was diagnosed with a ruptured aneurysm. The hemorrhage caused enormous damage to Clarke's brain, and at one point she couldn't even recall her own name. She underwent further surgery in 2013 to fix another aneurysm. In 2022, Clarke once again opened up about her experiences, telling the BBC that while she is able to live normally, large chunks of her brain are, quote, no longer usable.
It's remarkable that I am able to speak, sometimes articulately, and live my life completely normally with absolutely no repercussions. I am in the really, really, really small minority of people that can survive that.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. Nick Cannon. Going against advice, Cannon shared his lupus diagnosis and became an advocate.
Over 26 million people in America alone are affected with this, so it's something that's very serious that we just need to create awareness for.
Wendy Williams. She has spoken up in recent years about having Graves' disease.
And I had to take 3 weeks off of work to try to figure it out, and that was during sweeps, which you know is very important.
Yep.
But health is more important. So yes, I've learned to take time for myself, stop saying yes to everyone else.
Gina Rodriguez. The star has long discussed her battle with Hashimoto's disease.
With Hashimoto's, because our body can fluctuate so much, it is imperative for us to claim today the imperfect perfection of ourselves.
Missy Elliott. She went public a few years after being diagnosed with Graves' disease.
Through her publicist, Missy told me she is now in Florida working on her next album and managing her disease with diet and exercise.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Michael J. Fox. This actor has long been linked to Parkinson's, but there was also a period where he kept his condition private. Fox learned that he had early onset Parkinson's in 1991 when he was just 29 years old. However, the world only learned the news in 1998.
So I took a long, selfish period of time when I just dealt with how it affected me and was concerned with me and acting on me.
Ever since then, Fox has written numerous books detailing his experience with the disease, started the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and testified before the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee to help raise awareness.
As I began to understand what research might promise for the future, I became hopeful that I would not face the terrible suffering so many with Parkinson's endure. But I was shocked and frustrated to learn the amount of funding for Parkinson's research is so meager.
It was only in 2020 that Fox officially announced his retirement from acting, owing to issues with both memory and speech. Fox has been described as, quote, famously upbeat. And while he has shared some of his ups and downs with the public, he told AARP The Magazine in 2021 that, quote, gratitude makes optimism sustainable.
So I had this moment now, who I am with all the stuff I had in my life, where I just didn't look at that kid and say, he did all right. He had a lot to deal with, and he was dancing as fast as he could, but he filled the role, did the job.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.